Yeah, so when I was finishing up high school, and I was meeting with my guidance counselor, and everything, they really had no information on any colleges. And like what was out there, what was accessible. So my plan all along was to just go community college or UIC, University of Illinois, Chicago. Those were my options, really. And I never, it never crossed my mind that going away to school was even possible, or even an option for me. And then I went to summer camp, like NBA camp. Kushal would know because he also used to go there, but we would go every year, and I went. And there was a girl that was a current student at and she talked all about it and talked it up, and you know, that was it. After that, my mind was made up. Like that was a place for me.
I think you were talking about the same girl that I heard talk about university, and she kind of just made it sound like it was like the camp, but it was like the whole year, and you had school also. So you like really get to know people like yourself, and so it just sounded interesting to me.
Just interesting. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounded like something I'd be interested in because I didn't think I could go away from home.
And community college had been my plan before before I had heard about U of I, and then it was through I think I'd said before my college counselor or my high school like my school counselor. She had said that U of I had different programs and stuff for people with disability, and also there was like a dorm there that I would be able to stay at. We discovered that later on, but she had at least heard about like the campus being set up really well for people in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And I hadn't actually planned on going to a university right away. College was going to be like more local and a community college for me beforehand. And then heard about U of I, applied for the hell of it along with a few other schools, and didn't think I'd get in, but it actually happened. So it was a surprise to find out that I would be accepted because all my test scores and stuff were a bit lower than what they had been asking for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult university to get into it in general, so. I thought the girl that we spoke with at MDA camp was embellishing a little bit about the program. So she gave us a really comprehensive speech about the program and how there was a dorm and there would be PAs and all that stuff. And I talked about it with my family, and we just didn't really completely believe everything. So I went to visit to see what the school was like and what the program was like. And it was not an exaggeration, the things that she was telling me about. The level of independence and the level of care if you need help, like basically 24/7 care. It's just kind of interesting to me about how, like, when most people consider where they're going to go to school, they look at, like, the size of the school, the class sizes, like all the educational stuff, and we're like focused on, can I exist there?
Yeah, right.
Like I just need to exist there. Yeah.
It's basically I don't think many people have it where their mind is made up for them. Like, oh, this is the only college. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, once I visited, like I visited in the summer, so there weren't any students there, so I don't think I really got an idea of what the social life was like or how the program worked. Like, I didn't see anyone actually utilizing any of the care services or anything. It was just the admins, and we took a tour of an empty building. But even that, I was convinced. I mean, even seeing the elevator with the button on the floor that you just rolled your wheelchair over, I was impressed enough with that. But then after hearing everything, it was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the day I went, it was a school day. It was during the school year, so there were students like in the common areas and in the rooms and the hallways and whatnot. Uh, and I went to MDA camp like you guys, and it's just been a while since I've been around like a lot of people in wheelchairs, and with such a variety of diagnoses, it wasn't just like MD, but you had people with just all kinds of diagnoses, and that was it was an interesting experience. I think that's something you never really forget, like the first time you're around like a lot of your peers.
I get what you meant though, John. Like, I had never been around that many other people in wheelchairs either. No, not even at school. I was one of three
Yeah.
kids in wheelchairs there as far as like people with special needs went. So that was the first time I had really been around like a wheelie community.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I'd been around a bunch of people in wheelchairs where it was purely a physical thing. It was not there was no cognitive impairment of any kind. So that
Yeah.
was
Yeah. No, I get it.
No, I think that's completely natural, actually. It's a very jarring experience. Because it's just so unfamiliar. It's like I've been to like SMA conferences before. And I've been to MDA camp, but it was different. It was like, I don't really know how to describe it. I guess it's like,
well if you,
you have this like idea of like yourself as as a child, like your child disabled self, where you're not like that, I would say
Different?
physically different yet. Yeah. You haven't quite, I guess, grown into your adult image yet. And you're kind of like a disabled adult all of a sudden, surrounded by other disabled adults, and you have to like let go of that child self.
more than just like the image of yourself as like an adult, because we brought up that one thing I brought up was one, it was a place where there were everyone there in a wheelchair was there for physically or purely a physical reason. There was no like cognitive issues, but even though it was all just a physical disability, everybody there had some different type of cause for that. But how you talked about, John, you went away to the MDA camp, right? Um, well, everybody there had the same type of physical disability. So you guys all
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
had similar experiences in one way or the other.
Right.
So I think that people from different like communities that have a specific type of disability, like the, they share commonalities.
Everyone that's
Speech
there
disorder.
applied to college and got in based on their grades in
Yeah,
high
yeah,
school. Like everyone there
right, yeah.
is has the mental ability to do classes and stuff.
I wanted to like revisit what John was saying about being in high school and like that kind of stuff. Like I felt like being in high school when you're that age, just being different is hard. So you work so hard to like show that you're the same, and so like you work really hard to show that you belong in like mainstream classes and stuff. And that's kind of the mindset I had in high school. Like I had to prove to everyone that I was at the same level. You know,
Yeah.
and that might just be a high school thing. I don't know.
I mean, hey, like dealing with all that
Part of
stuff
it is,
at that age is hard.
I think it was the normal like no high schooler wants to stick out or be like looked at as oh they're just a weirdo, and then you have that normal mindset on top of there's something about all of us that might have might have made people look like or made people look at us like that, and we couldn't do anything about it. We realized that, so that added pressure on top of no matter how normal I try to act, I might just from the offset be or from the onset be perceived as not normal because look, I'm in a wheelchair, and it doesn't matter if you talk like if they got to talk to any one of us, they would know. Oh,
Yeah.
it's just another guy. But that whole I don't even want to start a conversation automatically. There's a strange.
I mean, it's not always that. It's also when people talk to me, I don't want them to treat me differently.
Right.
Like I want them to talk to me as if like I'm on the same level. You know, I feel like that was a huge part.
Right.
Yeah, and you don't want to have to like prove or that you like deserve to speak of their level. Like it should just be given to you, you know. Like other people don't have to prove themselves,
Yeah.
you know. And then the nice thing about college is that it, in a lot of ways, it embraces weirdos. You know, just all the types of social abnormalities that mainstream society doesn't. It's not a mainstream society. College isn't at all. It's just a very like outgoing, free thinking, kind of do whatever society.
Yeah, like what mainstream society values is boring. Like being normal is
Yeah,
boring. Like
yeah,
if you adhere to it completely, you'll just be a boring person.
But I think that's the whole point is like going from high school where you're the only one, to go and, and like the quote, normal is something that, you strive for that
Well,
can't quite get to. And then when you get to it's, everyone is suddenly in the same boat, and it's, now,
uh,
there's a whole different normal at right? Than there is otherwise.
yeah,
Yeah, like able-bodied people were abnormal at. Like there are more people in wheelchairs than not. It's like you don't see that at most places.
John, did you get a dog?
yeah. And so we're like, he's shy.
Is that the rescue?
Yeah, he's a Doberman.
Bobby,
He can't hear you. I got your earbuds in.
come back. I
Yeah,
want to pet you.
as nice as that like college society is, it's not transferable to the rest of the world. And I don't know if that's like just always going to be true because of just how things are. There just aren't as many people like us per capita elsewhere as there are in U of I. Or if it's institutional. I mean, you have like facilities where people with disabilities just live, and they're very sterile, and they don't like celebrate that free thought and independent spirits and education and growth. It's like we could have other so it's like why aren't there more?
You mean like a
Kind of,
nursing home or something?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Well, the society is based around like an educational setting, and it's also a bunch of young people that are there. Most of the facilities out there or communities that exist for people with disabilities are like one of two things, either like living or like care homes for the severely cognitively disabled that kind of how I was talking about, can't take care of themselves or can't communicate, or they're like elder care facilities. But those are all focused around their primary reason for being there is just to facilitate
Yeah.
the continued ability for those people to live. The point of was that it was that to a degree, but everybody there had like the social and emotional and mental capability to go out there and make it more, and also just that we weren't there to be taken care of. We were there to have a place to live while we went to school and did other things.
Yeah.
But like
The facility was about survival.
but like the default option for people like us after that age is to live in some sort of facility, maybe with like a mostly older population. But that is the default. Like the other options are okay. Well, your parents can help you, or you can I don't know, be lucky enough to live in a state that has a support system or
Right.
some sort of nursing care. We can stay in your home. But for a lot of people, that's just not an option.
That type of 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 community that exists more outside of an online or like social media setting. That type of in-person gathering type of community is, I guess, less sustainable when you don't have a
Money.
support like that. Well, not necessarily money, but like just a facility or a place of gathering where people willing to come around and help like that. You might be able to have something like that done with less money than it took to make some volunteers and donations.
Yeah.
But it's just the the desire for it to be out there.
I mean, I think in a way, it's impossible to fully replicate that. Just because, like, there's
Oh,
so
yeah, you
many,
can't have something exactly like
there's
that.
so many specific things that make it unique, right? Like you said, the age. Like you said, everyone there is chosen to be there. It's not just the default,
Yeah.
like, stick people in a home kind of thing. Like,
But John, you're
So-
talking about you're talking about just that sense of community and societal living with people of disabilities of our nature, right? Not necessarily not it being, but that type of community, right?
Yeah, I think that thing, does sort of stem from the fact that it's on a university campus,
yeah.
and you have like that university culture sort of mixed in with everything.
Oh yeah.
You have like students as your caretakers, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's something you can't. It's a lot harder to carry on unless it's on another campus.
Good.
Yeah.
Bye bye, everybody.
Till next time.